there. This is Terry with Collabo Creative, a local service design company in Indianapolis, and it is another Wednesday. So, of course, I have two new special guests. These are my two new friends, and they are everyday experts because we are doing the Lessons from Everyday Experts series, and it's always great for us to be able to learn from each other, from other people. And as we believe as a company, every single person is an expert of their own experience. No one else can tell you what your experience is. No one else can tell you how you feel better than yourself. And so we love to bring everyday experts on so that we can hear their stories, hear their experiences, and hear their expertise around just life in general and the areas of expertise that they have. So two new guests today. I'm so honored to have you both on, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So Toffy, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll head over to Ro.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Toffy. I am currently calling in from Philadelphia. My background is in international development and education, and I'm currently working remotely for a company based out of Singapore that uses technology and innovation and creativity to sort of affect real and positive change.
That's awesome. Okay, Ro, over to you.
Hey, my name is Ro Davis. I am in Fishers, Indiana. I work for Citizen State Bank as the bank and center manager. My background is in business administration. I have my master's degree in business administration. So part of my day-to-day is helping small business owners optimize their growth by offering financial solutions suited to their needs. So I really love doing that and take great pleasure and pride in it.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. I love that you both are coming from a background that helps businesses or helps change, right? Like you're helping businesses develop and grow so that they can have that impact. And then Toffy, you're working in that, with an organization that helps create social change. So that's really exciting to get two different kinds of perspectives in the same kind of area, right? So awesome. Love to have you on. Can't wait to hear your lessons for all of us. So to get us started, I always love to start with what's one thing you're grateful for today. So I'm going to throw this to Ro this time. What's one thing you're grateful for today?
That is a great question. In the world that we live in today, where there's so much uncertainty, I'm thankful to be able to have a job. And not only have a job, I can call this job my career, and my career helps people stay employed and employ others. So I'm very thankful to be able to help others have an income to support me and my family and help the business and the communities that we live in grow.
That's fantastic. Oh yeah. Actually, what's really funny is like we've been doing a lot of these and I don't think I've heard anyone say they're grateful for their job. That's awesome. And you guys are doing some great stuff.
That's so funny because I was thinking the same thing Ro was thinking. I was making a job shift during this whole pandemic. So I think I was also just so grateful to land somewhere during this time of uncertainty. So I was going to say the same thing, but also on top of that, just having somewhere safe to shelter and be and just stay put and having, just a place like this to be able to talk to you from home. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm jealous of that because I'm in the office, but it's okay to work from home too.
I was actually thinking, I don't think I could go back to commuting 5 days a week and like getting dressed and going to an office anymore. I'm so comfortable with being at home now.
I'm curious to see how, the job place and the market will change, over the next couple of years with what we're going through now. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think that's going to be, we're going to have you folks back on to talk more about that, right? Like, what is this going to look like? What are our jobs looking like and how are we working? What is the future of work now that we're kind of, right? That's a great topic. Thanks, Ro. We're going to definitely take that on. And we'll bring you back since you're like one of the few of our guests that are actually working in an office.
Yes. I enjoy it.
That's awesome. Okay, so now that we know what we're grateful for, we'll start with our kind of the main thing that we want to talk about, which is what's one thing that you've learned. So what's one lesson that you learned in 2020 that you want to share with the rest of the world? Because this is where we can have that impact, right? Sharing what we've learned from our experiences and getting that out from to people who are listening so that they can take your experiences and then learn from them, because we only have one life and it is very short, unfortunately, and we don't have the ability to have all of these experiences that we can learn from. But if we are open to hearing other people's stories, hearing each other's stories and experiences, we can certainly learn a whole lot more from each other. So I'm going to throw this one to Toffy first, but what's one lesson you learned during 2020 that you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and thank you, Terry, for providing the space for us to like think and reflect. I think, and this is something that I knew before coming into 2020, but I think it was just augmented during this time. And I think that is mindset is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like such a simple takeaway to walk away from this. But once you shift your mindset, you start to see things differently. You start to see the different possibilities around that. And I think the other thing is also realizing that, our suffering is not alone, and that if you kind of step back and realize, oh, everyone has their own issues, everyone is also suffering, that our pain is somehow like reduced and lessened in a way. Yeah.
Because we're collective, we're doing it together.
Yeah. I don't know why that it makes you feel better. It's not that like, oh, we're all suffering in this and that makes it better. But I think it's realizing that once you look at the same thing from a wider perspective, things just feel better somehow.
Right. That makes, because we are kind of like, what is the hashtag, in this together, right?
In this together.
Thanks, Toffy. Did you want to share a little about how, like, what was the experience that led you, or what were some of the experiences that led you to that realization?
Yeah, so like I alluded to earlier, I was making a job shift during this pandemic, and I had a plan out. I was like, okay, by this month, I'll be applying to jobs. By this month, I'm going to be doing this. And then the whole pandemic hit, and I was like, well, like, I don't even know how I go about doing this. So instead of viewing it like negatively, being like, oh, like, I can't find a job, like all these things, stepping back and being like, okay, let's change our perspective now. We just take, all the restraints off. What are the possibilities? Like, and then I started to get excited. I was like, oh, I don't have to look for jobs just in the US. I can look around the world, because now we can work online. I'm not confined to one place. So just shifting that perspective, and I think that was very helpful in not only making it seem okay, but also making me feel excited about going out there. Because once you frame it as something you want to do versus something that you have to do, I think that's also another mindset shift in and of itself.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. You gave me goosebumps, and you're just like, all the possibilities. I don't have to work at a company that's I can, and now you're working with a company that's in Singapore. It's amazing. That's awesome. Oh, okay. Same question to you, bro. What's one lesson you've learned in 2020 that you want to share with the world?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Toffy. That's spot on. I tell my team that all the time. It's all about perspective. When you come in, it's what you put into it, and it's how you look at it. Like, oh man, some guy cut me off when I was driving here. Well, he could have hit you, and you could have been in an accident, and you could have really hurt yourself. But instead, so it's perspective. So I really love that. 2020 in itself it's one that's going to go down for the ages. And like Toffy said before, this is something that I knew, but it really brought it to light, when COVID hit, that nothing is certain, and we take so many things for granted. And being that the entire world shut down, it forced us to kind of reevaluate things. And one of the things that I've learned, dealing with a business that was super successful one day, And the next day they had to close their doors because, money isn't managed properly. And so they were spending just as much as was coming in. But on the outside, we looked at the business like, oh, this place is great. It's always packed. But behind the scenes, they're financially struggling because of the way, that money is being managed. And so you can look at that on a personal and on a business level, that getting your finances in order and really living within your means can help you go a long way. And I know people personally that, maybe got a bigger house or, another car or this and that. And then now they're out of jobs and different things like that, to where it's like, did you really need it? And so, and same for me as well. So it made me reevaluate personally, like, do we need this? Should we be buying this right now? And so I really think, 2020 has taught me to be smart about decision making that can affect 5 years down the line financially. Like, do we need another bedroom? Do we buy another house because we want to turn the playroom into a gym or something? Like just things like that. Just really, really being smart about decision making. So
yeah, that's really insightful, right? Because I think it's there's something there in how it's almost like we make assumptions of how things were going prior, that that we just assume, like, this is how the business is run, this is how my life is run, we can count on these things coming in. But with COVID and the quarantine, it just made you realize, like, in your face, everything you thought was certain can certainly be taken away, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And along with that, I was at men's group the other night, and I was talking to some men, and I said, hey, I know that you have your primary job, whatever, but nothing is set in stone, nothing is certain. So find a hobby, find a skill, find a trade, that will allow you to, be able to fall back and generate, more income if needed. So I think that's important. So that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really insane. I love, and because you both are kind of coming at the same thing from almost slightly different angles, where it's like, because there's uncertainty, how do you turn those into opportunities, right? How do you create options for yourself? If you understand that nothing's certain, you need to have some options, right? And being able to kind of question what is certain, right? Like, you don't have to work with a company that's in the US because that's not certain. That's not necessary. It's not absolute, right? That's so, oh my gosh, I love this. You guys are making my brain turn. Okay, so then to kind of think about what's most important, when we always talk about lessons, what's most important about the lesson is how do we apply it, right? And things are changing, or people are talking about the new normal or the next normal, and like we were just talking about, what is the future of work. So as things start to shift and change in how we re-engage with folks, whether or not we're back in the office or we're still working from home, or there's going to be some kind of hybrid thing, we want to help people apply the lessons that you both just talked about, right? So how do you see this lesson being applied in your life moving forward, and how does that apply to other people's lives? And we'll go back to you, Toffy.
Man, that's a really good question. It's always the hard part, turning the lesson into something tangible that you can use. I think, just going off the stream that we're talking about, future of work, I think the future of work will look so different in the future. And I think it's just being creative and knowing that there are ways to connect online as well. So just as like what I was talking about, before this call, about building this global platform dedicated to encouraging writing and using words as change. Like, we built this thing during COVID, and it's completely 100% virtual. And so just thinking about the possibilities and thinking outside the box, and okay, connection and workshops and all these things that have been in person, just thinking about how we can pivot them and adapt them to this sort of new world that we're entering, and seeing the possibilities in that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So kind of always seeing those possibilities.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Ro, same question to you. I think you might have even alluded to some of this already in your last response.
Absolutely. From a business and personal standpoint, I mean, with rates and things that they are at all-time lows, maybe looking at refinancing homes, refinancing, vehicles to lower rates, being able to save money on interest and on lowering your monthly payments can help. One of the things that I do to add value as I go over the credit report with my clients to, hey, making sure that, hey, are you 30% under 30% utilization on your credit cards? Do you need that credit card? Can you pay that credit card off? And just, helping them find ways to eliminate some of the unnecessary debt. And it's like taking a trip to Costa Rica and you come back and you think, oh, I need to reevaluate my entire life and sell everything and live off the land. Not like that, but really, I know, I love it. I love it, but really just kind of looking at your financial picture and looking at ways to save money and cut back on things that may not be necessarily a need, more of a want, and make sure that all your needs are met first before you move into the wants. So I think that's a smart approach to go.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love, because it's like you have to take care, take care of your foundations first, right? And then in the same way, thinking about what are opportunities for us to continue doing that should things change, right? So I love that. Yeah. And I think too often we don't think about what our needs and what our wants, and getting clear on, what is it that we need to spend money on? What is it that we need to have in our lives? Whether it's, time or, how much the things, right? Or experiences, like what are those things we need to have in our lives versus the things that we want to have. And so I love what you both are saying, because it helps me start to think, what are the things that I need to have in my life, and what are the things I can really do away with, It's awesome.
You'll be surprised, at when you give up something and then all of a sudden you don't even miss it. You're like, why was I doing that? So.
I think it also shows you how adaptable we are. We're so adaptable.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right. Because in a matter of, what has it been, about 4 months now? In a matter of 4 months, I mean, we're all still here. We're all still alive, and we're all still, surviving, and some of us thriving. So absolutely, we're so adaptable people as human beings.
4 months ago, you would have never said, "Oh, I'm gonna wear a mask to go to Target." Like, now you just do it.
Now you just open doors with your elbow, and you just without second guessing yourself. Oh.
Right. And then, like, new products that are coming out. I saw that little key. It's like a little key hook or something that opens doors for you.
Oh,
what? I haven't seen that one yet.
I will send you a link to it. It's pretty neat.
That's
it's like a little hook that you use to open handles. So you don't have to Yes, the world is changing.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so I so appreciate both of your time and sharing your lessons and experiences with me and with everyone out there watching, because, like I said earlier, it's in everyone's experiences and everyone's reflections that we're able to learn from each other and become a better society overall. And if we're not listening to each other, then we're not hearing the voices that really matter. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your lessons with me and with us, because I've gained a lot already just in, like the last 20 minutes that we've been talking. So amazing. And then, so to wrap up, we always wrap up. I love to hear people's, like, what are your motivational words? What are the inspirational words that you either tell yourself or maybe it's a favorite quote that you have? I'm going to go with Ro. Can we hear yours first?
Well, I feel like I must say this because it's on the bottom of my personal emails, but I like to tell people that progress is a process because it doesn't happen overnight. And if you continue to work towards progress, if you continue the process, then you will progress. But so I like to say progress is a process.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. That's so simple. Progress is
Yes.
a process. And then yeah, you just
Keep it
never
simple.
have to, yeah, you don't have to be perfect because you're always in process of progress.
Never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, Toffy, what drives you? What motivates you?
Yeah. So I've been spending a lot of this social distancing time reading. So I've been through a lot of books, and I think one quote that came out of the Book of Joy. It's this book when the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, they meet up for 3 days, and it's sort of like writing about those conversations. But one quote that came out of that is, a person is a person through other persons. And I think it just shows that we are so interconnected with each other, and we are human beings through other human beings. And especially, in this time of social distancing, that, we still can be there for each other, and we still can support and hold space like you are doing right now, Terry, just holding space for each other and to listen and to be compassionate. And I think those things seep, and they're kind of, our feelings and our words are powerful, both negatively and positively. So I think that because we're so interconnected to each other, we can still help each other through this time, just through positivity and compassion.
Oh, I love it.
I love that.
Both of you are amazing human beings. So thank you again. I'm just going to wrap up, but so thank you for sharing your lessons, sharing your time, sharing your experience and your everyday expertise with myself and with everyone out there. I know that, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to come on and I just ask you questions and ask you to be authentic and raw with me. So I totally appreciate your time and your honesty and openness. So thank you again for your words of wisdom. I've taken so much from this. I'm just kind of like excited from everything that I've heard. I'm like, how do I apply this? And now what I'm going to do with this next. So thank you again. And so we'll just wrap up here. I'm going to say to everyone that's watching, thank you for your time as well and listening to Ro and Toffy and hearing their stories and their experiences. I hope that the lessons that they've shared with you and with me have helped you start to see different perspectives and see different, maybe shift the way that you're thinking, or maybe get you to shift your mindset or question what your mindset is, and take some of these lessons about, what do I need and what do I want? What is necessary? What is needed versus what is wanted? And then start to evaluate and assess, right? So that you can take these lessons and move them forward and make better decisions for yourself. And in that, other people will start to make better decisions for themselves as well. So let's continue to build these connections and spread our lessons learned and take learnings from each other and be more connected. So thank you again to our two guests for sharing your experiences and your lessons. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.